This is the highest evolution. Cannot evolve more than that. The DNA, they stop evolving. So, but the question is that, is God's body also having DNAs like this? Or is it different? And is it visible? Is he visible or not visible? This is question which is asked by Parikshit. So he says, Avayav Vishesho Vachyetiyaha, that his various limbs should be described. Ajo Brahma Bhutanam Vyasti Upadhinam Atma Niyanta Samasti Upadhitvat. So Brahma, he created the living beings. So modern science, of course, does not accept this, because according to them we have evolved. Now there is a very strong research, and there is one book. That book is called The First Chimpanzee. So this book, chimpanzee. So in this book says that human beings, chimpanzee and apes, these three, they have evolved from one prototype some, I think, 4 lakh years ago. 4 lakh years ago, all these three did not exist, but there was another being, and from that came apes, chimpanzees and human beings. Because human beings share their DNA with chimpanzee and apes up to 98.5%. It's only 1.5% which is different, which makes us different from chimpanzee and apes. So previously they were saying that we came from monkeys. Now we don't come from monkeys. We have come not from apes also. So this is confirmed. They have studied the structure of the DNA, and they have a theory that when these cells, they duplicate, sometimes they make mistake in duplication. Usually they are very perfect in duplicating. You know how the cell divides itself into two, and then they cut in half, and then both develop independently and become 2 cells. So, but sometimes when they are duplicating, then some of the program is missed, and then it goes into that cell. So that mistake is in this cell, and when this cell is going to duplicate, that mistake will go in both of them. And then these 2 are going to duplicate, then the mistake will go in all 4. So they have found common mistakes in these 3 people: human beings, chimpanzee and apes. And these mistakes are repeated at the same place. And that part where this mistake is happening has no function in all 3. It's not doing anything. If that program was not there, still it will work. They are within the DNA. So therefore they are saying that this, because the mistake is coming in all 3, so they must have a common ancestor. And how often the mistake is made, you can also, by computer, you can figure it out, because you can simulate programs on computer. So then they are saying that it goes back to like 4 lakh years. 4, I think. 4 or 40, I don't remember, but some big figure.
Something like this was in Africa, this first?
Yeah, everything came from Africa. That's the place of origin. Yes.
I think they really believe this stuff.
Yeah, of course they believe in it.
Well, they want to, because they don't have any belief
No, it is,
in a
it is,
spiritual.
well, if you read it, you will also start believing it. Because they give proof of it. They explain completely how the DNA is functioning and how the DNA has got all these four things. This, I forget this, A, T, G and S, and how they are linked, double helix structure, how it gets cut in between like a ladder, you cut the ladder in the center, and then this ladder also becomes a complete ladder, and this ladder will also become complete ladder. This is how it goes. And
Means that this original one, from where all these three branches are coming, included the humans, means that he was something like better because he contained the all qualities of the all other three.
no, it's not that he was better. That is not the point. How he can be better? Evolution means that what evolves is better. Otherwise, why it evolves? Evolution occurs because some problem comes and the cells have to adjust. It can also happen because of mistake. Some genetical mistake happens. And it can evolve. So then they trace that with mouse, we are having 65% of our DNA structure common with the mouse. So then they can trace when were we mouse, how many million years ago. So it's, so here the question is raised. So now the important thing is that we are saying that we were born from Brahma. So one thing is that we agree that we have a common ancestor. We have no problem with that, right? The chimpanzees, the apes and human beings have a common ancestor. Only thing is that that common ancestor for us is some Prajapati, like Daksha or Manu. And for them they don't know. So there is no problem. And second thing is that usually they say that everything was born from one cell, and then there was amoeba, then some other aquatics, fish came, then frog came, then birds flying, and human beings came much later, and in between there are trees. And actually Bhagavatam is also saying like that. It's not that human beings were created first. In Bhagavatam also it is written that there were aquatics, there were trees, there are birds, then there are human beings. So it is interesting to read that. So he is also asking a question, something like that. Ajo Brahma Bhutanam Vyasti Upadhinam Atma Niyanta Samasti Upadhitvat. So this body is considered as Upadhi for the soul. There is a soul inside the body, and body is the conditioning. Upadhi means conditioning. Otherwise soul can flow anywhere in the sky. But when he is inside the body, he cannot go. He has to go from here to Germany, he needs a flight. If body was not there for the soul, then soul could go anywhere. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvagata. It can go anywhere. So this is the conditioning. And Brahma, he has the conditioning of all the souls. We have only one conditioning. And our bodies have come from Brahma's body. So our DNA is coming from Brahma's DNA. So he says that he has got collective conditioning. Samasti means aggregate. and Vyasti means individual. So there is an individual conditioning and there is the aggregate conditioning. So all the souls, they are coming from Brahma's body, and Brahma was in Mahavishnu's body. So that's why he creates. Otherwise, from where Brahma is creating? It says Brahma does creation. When he creates, from where does he bring the soul? The matter is there, and matter he creates, but from where does he bring the soul? The souls are also there, because he has got all the upadhis, all the souls. So then slowly he starts bringing them out according to their karma, which was in the previous cycle of creation.
So I understood properly that in Brahma there are also souls aggregated there?
And that's why he is called Hiranya Garbha.
Okay.
Hiranya means gold, and Garbha means womb. Means he has got gold in his womb. Gold means the soul, the shining. Golden souls are inside. That's the meaning of Hiranyagarbha. So he is not ordinary person. So Ajo Brahma Bhutanam Vyashti Upadhinam Atma Niyanta Samashti Upadhitvat. But this Brahma who is creating, he was also born from the lotus navel of the Lord. Nabhi Padma Samudbhava San Yadanugrahat Bhutani Srishti. And it is by his grace that he creates. He also himself does not have the technology to create. He also depends on the Lord. So just like there may be so many raw materials, but if you don't know how to cook, then you cannot cook. So you also depend on somebody else to tell you how to cook. So Brahma, even if he had the raw material, he did not have the technology. How he has to manipulate the DNA to create various species of life. He would have manipulated in the beginning, and then there would have been some evolution also. It's not that evolution has not happened. Evolution happens because we have the nature to adapt. And if we have to adapt, then in the process our cells also change. But it does not mean that everything is happening because of evolution. In the beginning, he created some beings, and from that evolution continued. So evolution, what they are finding out, is not completely wrong. It's not completely right also. So there is combination of both. There is creation and evolution. So creation is done by Brahma with the grace of the Lord, and then evolution happens because they are law of nature. The Lord has set the whole universe into motion, all the planetary system. There are certain laws. There is law of gravitation, there is law of weaker forces. There are 4 laws they accept in science: law of electromagnetism, law of gravitation, law of weaker forces, and law of stronger forces. And these 4 things combined, they can see them. You can see somebody's there, Jay. So these 4 laws, they are functioning, and with the functioning of this, all this planetary system is in its own place. But the laws were put into action in the beginning, and once the laws have been put into action, then there is no need to manipulate them. So science is only studying these laws, but who put them into action, that is being described. So in the same way, there is also law of evolution, or survival of the fittest. So that is there, you don't deny that. But it has not come into existence just like that. It is law of nature. Because there is Mahat Tattva. From Prakriti, which is the primordial matter. This is the matter which they were trying to figure out. Now they did a very big experiment in Switzerland. Made this tunnel which was 27 kilometers long, and they were trying to blast the particles to create a situation as they think was at the beginning of creation. But they failed. Somehow it did not work. They will try again. So that particle is Prakriti. And from Prakriti, when Prakriti comes or is glanced by the Lord, that is the Big Bang. When Lord glances at Prakriti, then Big Bang occurs. So then the modes are disturbed, and then Mahatattva comes into existence. So Mahatattva is the intelligence, cosmic intelligence. So this cosmic intelligence further manifests into Ahankara and mind. This is all subjective elements are there, then it becomes objective. So both subjective and objective creation is coming from Prakriti by the contact of consciousness. So therefore, even in the objects which are unconscious objects, the Mahatattva is there, because they are coming from Mahatattva, and Mahatattva is intelligence. So intelligence is also there. Therefore intelligence is also there in DNA. And therefore there is survival of fittest, because there is intelligence. Otherwise, how does it know that by doing this it will survive and by doing this it will fit? Why there is survival of fittest and not of the weakest? Because there is cosmic intelligence pervading everything.
Actually, this was Darwin was observing only that point, that among the birds, for example, he was observing how the birds were surviving, and they had developed different type of beaks according to the food. And he was observing this island that he was going into these islands in the ocean. There were particular birds, and they had developed particular type of stronger beak because of the fruit of that particular place. And other birds, they could not survive because they didn't have enough strength to open the seeds to get into the food. So that's why he got the idea that the strongest, the fittest can survive, and then this is evolution according to that, and the species are developing like this. So I want to say. So interesting to see this point.
Yeah, so the intelligence is there.
Yeah, for the intelligence.
So Satyanarayana, in order for a scientist to be a die-hard scientist, he or she has to deny the existence of a spiritual reason for everything. So that's just the way it is, right? They have to deny.
Why?
Well, I don't know, I'm just assuming that, let's say that scientists come to a place where they say, well, a Big Bang took place, but they won't say, okay, the Big Bang took place because there is also something that is higher than that caused it to come together.
Then why it happened? Why it happened?
Well, they don't say, well, it happened because God created this. This is...
No, I'm not saying God. I'm also a die-hard scientist.
Okay.
So I have a right to ask question to another die-hard scientist. That why did Big Bang happen?
Molecules, stuff like that.
There were no molecules to begin with. Molecules were created later on. And from where that point came, because there was no time. They accept that. So that they were able to trace the creation up to 10 to the power of minus 61 second. From there onwards they can trace what happened. But they don't know what happened at the time 0. That's what they're trying to figure out. So now the question is that what was there when there was no time? Can you even think?
Nothing.
They can't come to some conclusion about that because the Lord does not want that to be, right?
No, they don't believe in Lord.
So they don't believe in the Lord, so they just...
I'm also saying I don't believe in Lord. I'm asking question, what will you say if you're a scientist?
I
So they have no answers. Scientists have
Another theory or something.
Scientists have more questions than answers. Yeah, it is a fact. We think that scientists know everything, but if you have seen this movie called What the Bleep We Know, you have seen it?
No, I didn't see.
You should see this.
Yeah.
It's a movie called What the Bleep We Know. You have seen it? No? It's very interesting.
You have to see it.
I saw it 2 years ago. There is also a book. So this movie is nothing but interview of all the top scientists of the world. And they're asking, so what do you know about the universe, about life, about this? And all of them are saying that actually we don't know.
Where is circulating this movie?
American?
Yes. See, American fellow made this movie, and that's why the title is called What the Bleep We Know. Means what the hell we know. And the conclusion is that we know very little. Because first of all, we don't know what we don't know.
And the science have to develop.
I mean, how do we know what we are not knowing? We know certain things. Say 50 years ago, people would not have known so many things which are happening, but at that time they will not even imagine that can we know this. And we go back 100 years, 200. So now you go back in future 100 years. Science will know so many things which we don't know now. We don't even know what we don't know. So what we know is very little. And what we don't know, we have no idea about that. So this universe is filled with dark matter. 96% of the universe is made of dark matter. And 4% is made of the visible matter. What you see, all these planets, stars in the sky, sun, moon, all this if you take is only 4%. So and about this dark matter, science does not know anything. This was one of their hope when they did this experiment in Switzerland, that they will figure out what the dark matter is. So they only know that there is something, they have just given it a name called dark matter. Because without assuming this dark matter, they cannot figure out how the gravitation is functioning. But they know nothing. So in the universe, if there is 100% matter, out of that 96% they don't know anything, because it is imperceptible to any of their instruments. And about 4%, how much they know about it? So what do they know? Very little. So that's why, what the bleep do they know?
Is that part of their arrogance though? Because they won't say to public or world at large.
No,
"We really
they are
don't
saying
know."
it in this movie. They are saying it very clearly. They are saying it's part of arrogance, but actually it's more like the science started is based on the wrong assumption, and now they don't want to correct it, because once you make a mistake, and that mistake has gone into your DNA, then it keeps on. If you start saying we fell down from Vaikuntha, then after 20 years it's very difficult to correct it.
It's a faulty premise.
Yeah, so science is based on the premise that we can understand everything through sense perception and there is no God. But for this they have not given any logic or any proof. No scientist has ever proven that there is no God. No scientist has proven that we cannot know, or we can know everything through our senses. So now they are beginning to realize that actually their premise is wrong. But because they have made it, and you cannot be considered a scientist if you talk about God, that's the very definition of science. So they are actually caught. So you have to be very bold and courageous to change it. It's very difficult. So maybe it will happen after 50 years, 100 years, who knows. They may do these experiments, this long tunnel experiment or whatever, they spend billions of dollars. There were 6,000 scientists working on this, and there are some 36 countries involved, and I don't know how many hundreds of computers were being used all over the world, not just there. These computers interconnected for this experiment. They have to create a big tunnel. I don't know if you read about, and this tunnel has to be cooled to like minus 360 degrees. I think the maximum possible theoretically is 362 or something. I don't know.
273.
273.
Yeah, minus.
So
Absolute.
Absolute. So they were trying to cool it, and then it failed. So imagine, because it was supposed to create a heat inside like some million degrees centigrade. So that's supposed to be the beginning of the universe. And then there were fears that it could create a black hole, and if the black hole was created, then the whole earth can go inside it and we'll be finished. That fear was also there.
My God.
Because black hole can suck anything inside. That is another thing. They don't know what is black hole. Even the light goes inside, it never comes out. Anything goes into it, it's finished. It's like Krishna says, Yad gatvana nivartante, tad dham paramam mama. Anyone who enters my abode doesn't come back. So they were also afraid that by doing this experiment, the black hole may be created and it can suck the whole
And still they did
earth
it.
into it.
So if you can't come up with the whys, like why this, why you can't come up with answers, how are you even going to begin to think of any kind of instrumentations to measure whatever it is that you have or to access?
No, they are not measuring that.
Or to
They're just
find
trying
out
to
why.
create a situation, what happened at that time. But still that question will remain, that why the situation came. That will still remain unanswered. But at least they're trying to figure out how it exactly happened. And they'll
So
try again.
this means science can give answers to all questions.
Yeah. That they accept. It cannot give answer to everything. And the reason is that because it is limited. Empiricism has a limitation.
And how you explain atheism in this connection? Atheism.
Atheists, they have no logic. What is the logic of an atheist?
Just denying.
How can you deny when you have not proven it?
Maybe we can say the form of demons.
That I don't know. I want to read their
Because they are
history.
interested against God.
Well, you can be an agnostic, but to be an atheist, you are illogical.
Yeah.